to get through this morning. Limited time, Rufai and Dr. Bati, but let's see how we can dissect some of the stories.
There cannot be limited time for commentary.
Right.
You have brought like 6-7 stories. Well, you must be ready. Okay. The producers must be ready to listen to commentary.
Let's quickly jump in.
So let's go very quickly, Rufai.
As an Ijebu son and an Ijebu man, I feel very sad about what has transpired. I feel ashamed and I feel disgraced. Let me tell you some historical antecedents of how important the Awujale stool is. After the British came in 1861, while before they came, the Awujale stool was the paramount stool among the Ijebu states. So much so that Remo and some other parts of Ijebu were under this Awujale. If my memory serves me right, it was under Awujale Tunwashe in 1892 that the British fought us, the Ijebus, in something called the Magbon War, the Anglo-Ijebu Wars. And that's to show you the might, because we Ijebus, we have the waters, so we're a big trading route. So the British was fighting for supremacy there. And that's the kind of power the Awujale wield and the prestige. We fought the British. Yes, they triumphed, but we stood our ground. So it is very cowardly to hear that such a revered stool, they're even talking about exchanging money, buying luxury cars. And you see what this has done. And there's a video making the round that I saw yesterday about Ghana must go bags. What this has done is it has tainted the process. Whoever emerges from this process will be baked around this controversy and conspiracy. It is a shame. And I want the kingmakers to please sit back and introspect. This is us, that we talk about the nation and talk about the political process, and we berate the political process just to get a revered position like the Awujale, and we're resorting to bribes and corruption. Apart from this, I would also like the EFCC to step in. Allegation of bribery, allegation of corruption must be investigated independently. Please, as it has gotten to this level now, I wanted an Awujale to emerge on time. Yeah. But I don't want an Awujale tainted with all of this myriad of controversy. So if the process has to wait for us to get it right, maybe we must do that. But this is a shame. Second point I would like to make. You see, when a government constantly tells its people lies, the people will never believe the government. I take you back to Jean-Jacques Rousseau's talk about the social contracts. It is when the government expects the people to meet the social contracts and the people do not meet the social contracts, the government starts to panic. But Nigerian government every time has failed on meeting the social contracts. And I think the Nigerian government owes all the newspaper, Sahara Reporters, Daily Trusts, all the newspapers that broke the story that there was an attempted coup and apology. I know the caveats they are going to use. I know them because I can think for them. Is they will say state secret. And in the matters of national security, you don't let the cat out of the bag. You use discretion. You don't know what you're saying, Rufai. There are implications. Implications when the story had come out and you lied because you were investigating. So, if we are talking about EFCC calling to be Silva, then we should ask what is really going on. Because if a government can lie to our faces and tell us such a thing happened, the story had come out already. You couldn't own up to it, then you lied. Then months after you said it was just a disciplinary issue by the military, then you come out and you admit it. So the question I'd like to ask the Nigerian government is, since you people now lie on per second billing, what other things have you told us that is a lie? What other things have you told us? So is it safe to say the talk about everything going smoothly in the country is a lie also? Because if you can lie about a coup that the story had gone out, I had to go check the references Ayo before I spoke about it. On several occasions, governmental agencies denied that there was a coup. Called stories fake news. And you came out now to tell us. So when you lie consistently, it is very difficult to believe you. You will have just owned up to it. You would get the sympathy of people. None of us here on this table, I'd like to speak for you, support a coup. It would be an aberration if you support a coup, because the coup is never the solution to any problem. Any coup is just to bring in a bigger criminal, and it's a thief that plans a coup. Look at Dumbuya. Is it not a coup he started with? Oh, I want to make Guinea better. Has he not forced himself through a democratic process after a coup? So all of those that you celebrate that they've planned coups in their country, they are equally as guilty as the corrupt leaders they're trying to pull out. That's why we never support a coup. We always insist on the democratic process and democratic institutions. But I will never also support a government that lies to us in the face. If it's honorable, and if there's any modicum of honor left in this administration, tender an unreserved apology to all the media outlets that broke it, this story, and own up to it afterwards. Not just owning up to it.
I'm not sure I'll hold my breath for that one. Dr. Abati, you take on
Okay,
this story.
I'll try to be very quick on the specific issues. On the Awujale, Fushembuwa contender speaking out. His name is Prince Kamal Abdul, Adebayo Kamal Abdul. He's an interested stakeholder in the matter. So what he says, you know, have we subjected it to any test, whether he's a witness of truth or he's just making these allegations to defend his own personal interests. He said that 10 million refundable expression of interest was demanded. Some people donated vehicles, and he personally alerted the Ogun State government. Now, these are allegations, as far as I'm concerned. The fact that he appeared on Arise News doesn't matter. He has to prove those allegations. You have to put evidence on the table that indeed money exchanged hands and that vehicles were given, because what is calling to question is the integrity of Otumba Lateef Oyemi, who is the leader of the Fushembuwa ruling house, and also persons like Professor Chief Fasi Yusuf. So I'm not going to make any comment based on his own, allegations, because he's an interested party. The parties that have now been called out will have to defend themselves. We would like Otumba Lateef Oyemi to speak of, Professor Fasi Yusuf to speak of. If the Abbaship of Ijebuland is now being subjected to inducement and corruption that will require the interest of the EFCC and the, ICPC cannot inquire into that. But if there is corruption, we need to know the details. However, our own interest is that Ijebu people should sort out their own home. The reason this Ijebu throne has become so problematic is that the last Awujale, Sikiru Adetona, for about 62 years, upgraded that throne. Now, where are the elders of Ijebu land? When Oba Sikiru Adetona ascended that throne, you had people like Chief Okunowo, you have people like Chief Balogun, you know, all those people, they rally around. You had people like Odutolas, who went and brought him from England and said, no, we want an educated man. And now, 62, 65 years later, these same Ijebu people are just creating drama.
Please.
No.
Please.
No. I'm giving you.
I'm a government repeating the same Ijebu people, the same Ijebu people. I know where you are going.
No, I'm giving you a empirical fact. What we want in Ijebu land is peace. Yes. right? We want peace, we want concord, and we do not want this selection process to last for too long. Everybody now wants to be Abu Jale because that throne has been upgraded. The Ijebu people should just call the elders to the table. All these speculations I find objectionable. Now, as for coups. Now, when, what's his name now? General Gusau was director of Director Information. He said, oh, well, there was no coup, they were investigating, they will set up a panel. Now General Uba, I think that's his name, Sulaiman Uba, who is now director of Director Information, tells us that indeed 16 persons have been indicted. Investigation was carried out, and these persons will be court-martialed. The leading authority on military law with regard to our dispensation, I think it's General Jemmy Bawon, who wrote a book on, you know, how the military deals with coups. But it is reassuring that General Uba is now telling us that due process will be followed, fair hearing will be allowed, and that so far the investigation has followed the due process. If you do any crime, you must be ready to face the consequences. That is what the law says. And now that it's been confirmed that certain persons try to remove through unlawful means the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think due process should be followed. And I hope that in doing this, they will be allowed legal representation. Their rights will be protected. Now, military court-martial is likely to be secret. But I think we, the people of Nigeria, we also must be involved in the process to be properly informed. And that's a charge onto the current Director of Information. And nobody should be victimized on ethnic or religious grounds, because this is Nigeria. Before you know it now, some people will come, ethnic gladiators, religious extremists, saying that these people are from our village. No. The constitutional order in Nigeria says that the only way you can remove a sitting government is through democratic means, not by other means. Musawa Felix Moka, we have been told, is saying ministers should focus on their duty. I insist, as I did yesterday, that Anatu Musawa, the Minister of Tourism, Creative Economy, was very courageous to have stood up to say that, look, if you change the vice president, you change the equation because of the blackmail from the Christian community, then it will have implications, deeper consequences in the more, politically literate North. She may have said, if you don't have a Kanuri, you don't have a Hausa Fulani or Hausa person in the equation for 2027, then, the APC will have issues. Well, there's nothing she has said that is offensive, in my view. I said so yesterday, I say so again. She even said the opposition, there's no aggression towards the opposition because we need the opposition. I think it's the APC leadership that is missing the point. And Felix Moka should be reminded that consistently there has been an attempt to, downplay the Tinubu Shetima ticket, the Muslim ticket. And I have called on President Tinubu, he must have the courage to stand by his choice. He stood by that choice in 2023. He should stand by it again in 2027. All this talk about Donald Trump, I repeat again, it's not Donald Trump that will dictate to Nigeria what the political choices of Nigerians should be. Well, underscore, I understand that Felix Moka will be here on this program this morning. So he will come and defend his statements. He too should focus on his duty and now violate other people's rights to free speech. To the extent that the issue is in the public domain, we have a duty to comment on it. And he's saying media houses should stop listening to sources, should not talk about certain things. He's not in a position to dictate to the editorial priorities of media houses. So it should be so advised and well advised. When they will come here, I will ask him what gives him the bona fide to dictate to media houses on the kind of stories that they foreground. Finally, Abba Yusuf, governor of Kano, has now declared for the APC. He has registered. He has spotted with 22 out of 28 members of House of Assembly, 44 local governments and councillors, 8 House of Reps members. We made the point yesterday that this is just about survival. He has said, oh, this is the interest of the people of Kano State. No, it's not the interest of the people of Kano State. It is in his own interest. And many of these governors, they are acting in their own interest. After all, the APC has now promised him automatic ticket for 2027, and he seems to have liberated himself from the overbearing influence of the godfather of NNPP politics in Kano State, namely Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso. The irony, however, is that he and his, defectors, people who have been attached by Dr. Kwankwaso with what you call Betrayal Day, January 23. Unfortunately, I don't know whether the Kano people will celebrate that. They were wearing the Kwankwansia cap, which is an indication that perhaps there's a different thing between Kwankwansia and the NNPP. So these are politicians, basically, whatever color, whatever extraction that they attach to themselves, gaming the system. Part of the problem with Nigeria is that politicians, political gladiators, are always gaming the system. And that is why the emphasis should be on what we, these suffering people of long suffering, yes, people of Nigeria. I don't know whether you are part of that community, but I am a member of that long suffering community of Nigerians. Well, we are suffering. We are no. I'm not bourgeois. No, I mean,
you that you stay in Ikoyi.
Which Ikoyi?
You that you stay in Ikoyi,
where there is no electricity.
There's no electricity in Ikoyi.
Where there is no water.
There's no water in Ikoyi.
I beg you.
Since I talked about disclosing sensitive information about where certain individuals live, let me talk about disclosing sensitive information, particularly as it pertains to the coup or whether or not it occurred. Now, I'll make very quick statements on some of the stories this morning. On the coup plotting, and now that it's been confirmed, and the initial denial, what the sad thing is, and I can understand the arguments of the fact that in the interest of national security, or perhaps as the argument has been made that it was under investigation, so nothing had been officially concluded or investigated, hence the reason why the statements from the military was that nothing of the sort had happened, is that it further weakens, erodes the already fragility of the trust in public officials, especially the military, the government, by Nigerians. And in saying this, you can then ask, okay, how better could this have been done? I would say that there needs to be a proper process of information management, and not everything needs to be met with an initial and very vocal denial, especially when it comes to matters of national interest. Perhaps a statement acknowledging the fact that Nigerians are not stupid, or people do actually have intelligence, or that investigative journalism is a thing, is maybe just a little, opportunity to save time by saying that we are investigating a matter. We're investigating a matter. Because the consistent dismissal of what then becomes truth at the end of the day means that Nigerians would continuously not trust the government of the day. And in fact, some people have started to say this is a lie administration, lie government, lie how do we believe? And it has far-reaching implications, because it does not applies only to the military, but other statements made by the government whereby you have to check again to see whether or not it's true or false. And so again, I think that's the biggest casualty of of this particular statement, but has already been established. We're hopeful that due process will be followed and that we continue to make a statement for the importance of democracy. Yes, a democracy in its stage is not without its faults, is not without its peculiarities, but you can see that across the world, including the United States, which is the bastion of democracy. However, it doesn't take away the fact that it still is the best form of government for us as a nation. Now, talking about the just one statement on the president's trip to Turkey, and I'm glad that Iswa was able to pose that question to the special advisor to the president. I'm not sure if he was able to convince Nigerians as to whether or not there would be measurable economic impact based on these trips. Don't forget that it's an investment on the bill of the Nigerian people's money, Commonwealth. And so what we're looking forward to is a commensurate and even more when it comes to return on investment. So far, under this administration, we don't seem to have seen, yes, we'll come back with promises, memoranda of understanding being signed, but the most important thing is how that translates to measurable impact for the Nigerian people. If that's not demonstrated, then it can as well just be a statement of show of going abroad and just, being entertained by leaders of the world. Now, with regards to the NNPP in Kano State, it's a big blow to the NNPP, and I don't know if there will be a political survival for the NNPP. Yes, the Kwakansia movement has been said to be differentiated from the NNPP, but we also know that the NNPP's strength was mainly in Kano State. They had just one governor who has now defected, so we don't even know if they would be able to have any representation on the ballots come 2027, and if Dr. Rabiu Kwakwanso himself would remain in an already embattled party, or perhaps pitch his tent somewhere else and take his supporters alongside with him. This would be the true test of how strong or powerful and influential the Kwakwansia movement is under his leadership in Kano State. Is a battle for the soul of the state. But